Welcome, Mark Thompson here at the Prospects Camp for the Philadelphia Flyers. I'm along with head coach Larry Courville. We're in Voorhees, New Jersey at the Flyers skate zone, and coach coming down, taking a look at some of the young prospects here for the Flyers. What do you hope to accomplish here this week at Prospects Camp?
Well, we're hoping to see some players that could fall potentially to our level. There's a few kids here that can potentially play for us in Rennie, but also we like to have a long-term relationship with the Flyers, so we want to look at their young prospects that they're developing currently and hopefully have a good judge of what may play in Rennie in the future.
You look at these young guys, and most of them are extremely young still. There's a 17-year-old out there, an 18-year-old. Can you look at a guy who's that age and kind of project out into the future, or is it more of an art than a science, and you got to kind of get lucky here and there when you're talking about prospects?
Well, I think that's the role of the NHL scouts, right? They draft these young players at 17, 18 years old and expect them to hopefully develop throughout the years. They've probably been watching some of these kids for a number of years now and see the potential and the growth that they had in those number of years, and they expect them to be, when they're ready to play professional, hopefully be an NHL prospect and play in the NHL. So that's the process, and hopefully that some guys mature and develop more than others, and some guys never make it, right? So, but the issue is drafting the right people, getting the right players, and hopefully building an NHL team that win the Stanley Cup, and hopefully adding depth to all your system to make everyone better.
Early in this camp, it's been interesting to note that they've kind of split the forwards and D and taking them through drills, and it seems like that's a big process here, is just trying to get an idea of what skill level each player is at and trying to evaluate that by actually separating the forwards and defensemen.
Yeah, that's a process. I've been to several development camps with different organizations, and they're all run a little bit different. I think this focus in this camp is about skill development and showing the young prospects what they need to work on to be better skilled and better players. So they're not only teaching them different things on the ice, but they're teaching them stuff to be a professional, living on your own, cooking for yourself, making them become professionals. These guys are young gentlemen that a lot of them haven't lived on their own and are not quite ready yet to make the jump and be on their own. So it's a good process. I wish, when I was a player, I had the same kind of development or to become a pro. So I think they've done an excellent job here this last couple of days to make these guys realize what it takes to be a professional.
One of the elements looking at the D-men here is that they've been focusing upon is quickness coming off the end line, and they actually have some lasers set up trying to time guys and actually get some analytics, some numbers on these guys. I suppose that's something that's changed as well over time. It used to be all eyeball tests. Right. Now everybody's trying to get data.
Well, there's so many tests now that the NHL does and organizations do that, and they compare them to current NHL players that play in the NHL and see where they are in their development and their skating and abilities. So, I'm sure that it's well documented in the statistics on what NHL players can skate at, their quickness, the way they move the puck. All those things have been analyzed, and they want to see where their young prospects are and see if they can be how long they anticipate them making it to the NHL.
One of the difficult things, I suppose, is you can have all the data in the world, but you still got to know how a guy plays out on the ice. I hate to say I kind of fall on that side of the ledger, kind of watching them in games and see how they react under the game pressure.
Well, for sure that's a big part of it, but I think you and I are the same came from the same cloth. We're kind of old school guys that we've got to see the guy play and how his hockey sense is, what his strengths and weaknesses are, and make evaluations based on that. But we also now, with the modern day hockey, is a lot of those results, a lot of those tests that they do impact how a player can perform on the ice.
It's probably too early to talk about players for the Royals, but looking out at the camp so far, you've had a chance to kind of look at a couple guys. Anybody stand out for you out at the Flyers Prospects Camp in these early stages as a guy you're looking at and say, this is a guy to keep an eye on?
Well, it's still kind of early, of course, and like we talked about, there's a lot of kids that are out there right now that can't play in Rennie, and they have a number of guys that last year played in Adirondack, whether they'll filter down to us or not. It's yet to be seen. I'm sure Ron has a game plan in place to see what happens and add depth throughout the organizations, but it's still too early to see. I've seen these guys play in the American League. Depends on their young guys coming in and hopefully winning some jobs and maybe filtering guys down. That's the nature of our game, and young guys come in and try to still, veteran guys' jobs, and we'll see what happens in the end.
I know that they have more and more camps every year. This is the Prospects Camp. Do you know the next step of development as far as the Flyers are concerned? Do they have a rookie camp and then a free agent camp? I'm not sure if you know what the each stage is?
Well, they do have another camp, a couple camps. Well, they have one, of course, is a rookie camp, which I sort of have been involved a little bit with the Flyers because they do a week-long camp, and then they also play called a prospect game against Washington Capitals. I believe this year the game will be here in Philadelphia because each year they flip-flop between Washington and Philadelphia for the game. So I'll be involved in that camp. That's a camp that we'll see more guys who are eligible to play for the Reading Royals and some young prospects that will also be involved. So that's a camp that I'll be more interested in for me because those are guys that are going to be playing professional, and hopefully we'll see some time in Reading.
Do you know when that camp is?
I don't have the specific dates. I know it's early September. I'm sure I'll get that here this week, final dates on that. It's just before the NHL camp will open, and I'm sure some of the kids that are going to be involved in the rookie camp will also go to their main camp.
Head coach Larry Courville of the Reading Royals here at Flyers Prospect Camp, Voorhees, New Jersey. Coach, I want to thank you for spending time with us.
I appreciate it, Mark. Thanks for having me.
I also want to thank you, the fans, for stopping by and have another moment with Coach Courville. Again, here at Voorhees, New Jersey, the Flyers Skate Zone Prospect Camp for the Philadelphia Flyers.